Hi guys, my name is Marzena.
My name is Slawek.
Welcome to Mastery Camp Online. This is a class for professionals. We're going to talk about shadow positions. So we have basically few shadow positions. Most of us, we are relating the shadows that they are on the right side shadow or left side shadow. But we have as well a reverse shadow that we're going to today explain. So let's start.
So what we did, we prepared very basic choreography, and our goal will be to go through all 4 different ways how we can connect 4 different shadow positions and still try to dance the same piece of the choreography, which actually might be not as simple as you would think.
Okay, so we're going to do just an open left turn, running step, open right turn, and running step in shadow position. So since we're in a professional class, we assume you all know this. So let's start from this angle. And we're going to do the step in the right side shadow position first. So we go open left turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Going into running step. 1, 2, 3. Into open right turn and shadow. We're going to underturn it slightly for now. And 4, 5, 6. Into running step. 1, 2, 3. So since we have a smaller space, we're going to slightly underturn it. Normally we should have a 3/8 of a turn in this open right turn. Okay, so now this is how we like to teach shadow positions. For those who have known us for many years, you might already have heard it, or you will hear it again with a slightly different vocabulary. We truly believe that every shadow position is almost the same for the gentleman as the closed position in tango. So if we take our beautiful tango hold and we're connected, and now the gentleman doesn't move anything, no hand, nothing, and the lady will slip away, we have the distance between Slawek's body and his right hand. This is the space that belongs right now to the lady. But what I mean by this, I'm not really connecting to his body. I'm going to dance my body into his right wrist through my compression. So if I sneak here, I hope you can see it. If we just go a little bit to the side, that we have no body contact between our bodies. That's very important. The only thing that I will feel in this particular hold is Slawek's right wrist. Now, what I would like all of you try, because I truly believe the gentleman does the same thing, we're going to stay right now on the right foot, and we're going to connect our left lat down. Like you want to do a little bit more in Latin activation for your ribcage, you're connecting lat down. With that scoop, I'm going to redirect my ribcage until I feel that my right rib is ready to be over my right big toe. Yes, so we're both doing exactly the same pose. So we are mirroring each other, and we have everything directed to the right foot. Now, while we do this, we can change weight from foot to foot, but our body shape should not change. So I'm not going to change the shape when I'm rocking from foot to foot.
So that means that our right ribcage is still projecting the same diagonally forward, regardless on which foot we are standing at.
Since we understand our own personal position of the body, let's try to find the same thing when we dance together. So, as I'm standing with my left glute in front of Slawek's right hip flexor, I'm going to increase my own personal foot pressure and the scoop of my ribcage to go diagonally to the right. So if I would take a step, that step will be placed right here. It's not going to the side, or definitely it's not going to go forward, because then our bodies are actually much weaker. If we send our bodies on a diagonal field, we are much stronger, because we're still creating a lot of counterbalance within ourselves.
I like to think that because of the foot pressure, we build the energy, we build the tone in our body. So I feel like in my own body, I resist my spine, which dancing always towards my standing heel, and my rib cage, which dances towards my big toe. So I always have this resistance happening in my body. Now, I like to think that whoever I dance with, they understand the way how the energy flows through the body the same way. So now, if I connect with Marzena, let's say, because she's having, and we'll maybe stay sideways to the camera, because she's having the same feeling, which means her ribcage is dancing towards her front, her spine is still dancing to the back of her standing heel. So that makes her body still aligned, therefore balanced, and so does mine. So that's what makes us being in our own personal balance, while we are also in a balance of the couple. Now, what I like to think of, it's because we're connected, Marzena's rib cage, it's dancing away from my spine. So we become like a bigger organism. Yeah? It's as we were having in our own body, rib cage is dancing against spine. Now when we're together, Marzena's rib cage is dancing away from my spine. So that's what give us very, very strong connection, yet it doesn't create any tension in the arm, because the resistance between our bodies being built in different parts, not through the arm.
Okay, so when we talk about shadow position, when we establish that connection, we always will feel that one of us is more in charge of the distance and space we're going into, and the other person will create much more counterbalance, which we could call resistance. So if we just talk about shadow position in this moment, and we are going to just walk forward, right now I'm ahead of the movement, which means I have to decide how big of a step we're taking. When we move backwards, we switch the roles because Slawek is ahead of the movement, so I'm actually resisting him with my movement right now. So I hope you guys can see that I'm always like an echo sound to his movement when we go backwards, because I was the second one to move there. Versus then when we go forward, right now Slawek has to feel how fast, how slow I'm going to move him. And if I stop, you could probably see that he immediately responds with his body. We could not do this, we could not establish this without a strong foot pressure. So hopefully you guys could see it, that my sternum was dancing forward and Slawek's spine was creating a pull connection between us, so we could feel each other with one hand connection.
Maybe we should quickly add something to the left hand, because we didn't really talk about what happens with the left hand while we're having a shadow. So gentlemen, make sure you're always creating a sort of surround feeling through your frame. So you always add energy in towards the lady, so she has something to fulfill, to dance outwards to. It's very tempting for us to feel that we want to be big, we want to create a big shape, big frame, and then as a result, lady will feel like she has nothing to dance to. So that's why the reason why we actually choose tango frame in a shadow is because the tango frame is way more compact, and because we don't have a body contact, we have to have even more tone through the frame, because that's the only connection we're having. So I like to always think of squeezing outwards, what I send energy in through my frame. So that's my squeezing action, but at the same time, the more I work in, the more I expand through my back, through my lats, through my elbows, so I create more volume. So this way I have chance to get both. I have stronger connection with Marzena, but I also have a bigger, more voluminous look and frame. But it won't be able, I won't be able to achieve that without using foot pressure again. So you can see how strong, how important the foot pressure is in order to create that energy in a body, to create that picture what we're looking for.
Okay, talking about the shadow, we definitely need to talk about the inside and outside turn. So the rule is, as we turn, whoever is on the bigger arc, that person has to travel further. Whoever is on the smaller arc, it has to increase foot pressure and monitor the outsider speed. When we turn to the right, the gentleman will be still on the outside of a turn while he's moving forward. So the lady has to increase the foot pressure and slow down her action to allow the gentleman to go around her. If we're turning left in the right side position shadow, the lady will be on the outside and the gentleman will have to increase that foot pressure to slow himself down, even that he is moving forward.
So remember, as much as we want to be very connected, we never ever want to travel in the same direction with the same speed. It's always one of us. If there's any turn involved, it's always one of us will be faster, one of us will be slower. This is the only way how we can travel together harmonious way. It's often I see around that when one person is trying to increase the speed, I feel that the other person of the partnership wants to kind of match the speed. So we either move faster together, slower together, and that's always create a tension with the movement because we cannot actually arrive in the same place very easily. So it's always one person has to be slower, one has to be faster, no matter what kind of turning figure you're dancing.
Okay, so now let's move on to our little practice routine. And we're going to right now focus who's on the outside of a turn. That person has a very light, strong swing. And who's on the inside of a turn has to increase the foot pressure to feel like you're driving on a little handbrake, okay? So we're going to start with the reverse turn in a shadow position. We're going to start in a reverse turn in a shadow position. And we go. A lady, it's on the outside. Gentleman, it's on the outside. Now, as we do the running step, we are still sending the lady slightly ahead, and the lady, it's on the smaller outside part of this rotation. Let's try the same thing other way. And we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we go 1, 2, 3. Okay? I hope you can see how one of us is slowing down and the other person is really putting this a full momentum to go forward.
So in order to sense that changes of who's inside, who's outside, and all the other informations, Marzena has to constantly put her rib cage into my right hand, and she had to put the energy very, very still and stable. So the good exercise for that is that we can connect, and now we can keep switching weight from foot to foot, but making sure that the connection is not lost, right? So both of us, we're applying energy up and right, that direction, and then as we sort of marching in a spot, nothing is changing. So what will be incorrect, changing the body position while you're changing weight, okay?
Yeah, and another great thing to practice this, it's especially when we have a change of the sway, that no matter what happens, we're still projecting our energy to that right wrist. So if Slawek will just go from side to side, and we're going to just go and changing the shape from foot to foot, no matter how much, especially now I sway left, I do not want to enter his space. I'm still projecting all my energy up diagonally to the right, and then when he changes the shape, the other foot, that's easier. Right now the gentleman actually has to provide a pull connection without dipping, if you do incorrectly, to my side, because then we'll create heaviness, okay? So I think most of us, we're very used to the right side shadow position. Now, let's have some fun, and let's do the same thing in the left side shadow position. So that's going to be a little bit more creative. It's a fun way to get used to being on the left side. So now, obviously, we're going to feel our projection of the ribcage going slightly more diagonally left. And as we do this little routine, we're going to maintain the same idea with our body. What's very important, our roles are changing now. I'm becoming on the inside, Slawek goes on the outside. And when we go to the natural turn, it's reverse as well. So we go. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we go to the running step. 1, 2, 3. Okay? I hope you guys could see this. When we were doing this right now, our roles completely have been switched.
So now my job is to maintain the same position with Marzena. So remember, she's not exactly on my side, she's not exactly in front of me. She's in if you think about the 4 quarters, if you have a left front, right back, left back. So right now she's going to occupy left front quadrant. That's where her body is going to be in relationship to my body, okay?
So when we talk about the right side shadow position, I was saying that my left glute, it's facing the gentleman's right hip, When I go to the left side shadow, we're obviously immediately reversing this. My right booty, it's looking at Slawek's left hip flexor. So right now, therefore, it's much easier to stay in that left side shadow position.
Remember, we're doing this exercise when we establish the connection on the right side and we're changing weight. So now we can do the same on the other side. So again, we're marching in a spot, but the bodies are still maintaining the same position. So again, we're not losing the shape and trying to regain it. We'll try to maintain the same picture. So we need to coordinate what happens with our feet and the switching weight, and also what happens with the body projection. That doesn't change.
Let's do the same thing with changing sway. So we can march and change sway, or change sway from side to side. And then we go from here. We are working that way, not down. I'm projecting all my energy diagonally up. And now when Slawek is going, he is projecting all his energy diagonally up this way. Okay? So I hope this little exercise is very simple. You don't need a lot of room. You will immediately feel how to stay connected. For ladies, remember, when we're doing right shadow, you're projecting your ribcage diagonally right. When you're doing a left shadow, you have to do everything opposite. So now you're scooping your ribcage diagonally left.
You might have never done it before, so it might feel a little strange at first, but the goal is for you to create the same feeling, the same comfortable feeling on your right as on your left.
Okay, so let's try one more time this reverse turn in the shadow on opposite side. So we're going to stand right here, and we're going to go, and Slawek, it's on the outside, I am on the outside, and now from here, he is traveling a little bit more. Okay, I hope that left turn look different, it's more creative, and it's totally okay to do those actions already from close goal level. So now, let's...
As long as there's no syncopation.
As long as there's no syncopation, exactly. But now let's do the same thing in the right turn, which will feel the same, a little bit different, but it's good to give your student or yourself something that is really not that difficult in a pattern, and just explore this left shadow position, sorry. So let's just do a natural turn in a left shadow position. So we're going to go from here. I'm on the outside of this turn. And now from here, Slawek is on the outside. And now as we do the running step, the lady will travel a little further than the gentleman. Okay, let's do the same thing other way. And we go. 1, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Okay, it definitely feels more unique,
more different. It's for sure, it will refresh the way you feel about the simple step as the open right and open left turn.
Okay, so now let's analyze 2 more positions. We have something that is called reverse shadow position. Reverse means we are switching the roles. Instead of having a lady in front of the partner, we are going to have a gentleman in front of the partner.
So that would be great, gentlemen, for you, because now you have chance to really experience what ladies actually are feeling and doing when they're in a shadow position. So if you will actually master their activities, it will help you to understand what you need to do to actually be a better leader. And I think also ladies, because now you put yourself in our shoes, you understand better what we have to do to support your connection. So it will benefit both of us, even if we actually do alternate position.
And those positions actually are very popular in a professional level, where we are actually having the gentleman in front in Viennese waltz, reverse turns, Viennese crosses, in tango, and we can really learn how to be a little bit more playful between each other. So when we do reverse, everything is the same. Now I'm putting myself in Slawek's shoes. So whatever he was doing in the right side shadow, left side shadow, I have to return the favor, and Slawek has to do what I've done before, which means his sternum is going to create opposition for my spine. So if we just go a little side together and we just turn around this way, and we're going to do the same thing to the side view. I hope you guys can see how his pose is dancing diagonally right, forward, and I'm I'm resisting a little bit more to go back. So therefore, if I will lower, he lowers. If I will move, he should move. So I feel right now that I'm actually being a leader in those steps much more than a follower.
But of course, even if I don't have necessarily the hand connection right now from my side, I can still use my body to indicate lead to Marzena, who is connected with me through her hand. So the who's become a leader, it will be determined by the timing. Whoever create the action first, that person will become a leader.
Okay, so let's right now try to explore the same little group with reverse right shadow. So we're going to split this probably in half because of the room. So we're going to do a left turn. We go 1, 2, 3. Then I go 4, 5, 6 into running step. 1, 2, 3. Okay? So let's do the same thing the other way. Now let's analyze who was on the outside. Right now, Slawek is on the outside. I am on the outside. And now Slawek is on the outside. Okay? Now let's do the same thing from the other angle one more time. Now I'm going to say when I'm going to increase, who is increasing foot pressure to slow down. I am increasing foot pressure. Now Slawek is increasing foot pressure. Now I am increasing foot pressure to be slower. So obviously we don't need to be in an actual frame, which might look a little bit funny, but we can change proximity between us and make it look a little bit more like it's a story between man and woman. It's a little bit more intimate. So while we do this, the gentleman is still projecting his ribcage to my right wrist. And we're going to stand here. He is on the outside. And then from here, I'm on the outside of a turn. And then from here, we can do this running step.
So that will create completely different look again, but yet the principles are still the same, as I still had to be constantly aware of my ribcage projecting into Marzena's right hand, even though that we were trying to be so much more, let's say, looking romantic and together.
Yeah, so anytime when you have the change of the proximity to be very, very close with each other, we still internally feel that someone is trying to push us outward. So if we do this one more time, just this little exercise that we just did in a reverse shadow, I can be close with here, but if Slawek exaggerates, he's pushed from the rib cage, he will fall into the right side. So no matter how far from each other we are, you should still feel that we both are trying to create as big space as possible in the desired distance that we have chosen. So that's the most important thing for the closer position. So this was reverse right side shadow. We have one more shadow left. Obviously, this is going to be reverse left side shadow. So right now, the gentleman is going to stay on our left side, creating exactly the same scoop of the rib cage, projecting everything to the diagonal left. So ladies, we want to make sure that we are providing right now enough support for our partners with our frame. So make sure you don't have a little collapsed frame. You're offering the same thing that I'm squeezing in, but my elbows are going outwards. Doesn't matter how close we want to be with each other, that energy is still the same.
Now, in order to know how much energy you're offering to each other, you always have to understand how much foot pressure you're applying into the floor. So no matter how light or how strong that the pressure is, it always has to match with whatever places we're touching. So in this case, if Marzena is touching my left rib cage, the amount of resistance, the pressure we create right there, has to match of the foot working towards the floor. Right? So that will give us very clear ability to understand what the amount of energy we're putting in. So now, whoever is going to lead, either Marzena or me, but we will still maintain, the goal is to maintain the same intensity in the body, otherwise we will lose each other and everything look very floppy.
Okay, so now let's experiment with this little group in a reverse left. So now let's experiment with the reverse left side shadow. Gentlemen, you're on the inside of a turn. Really increase foot pressure on the first half to slow yourself down, to allow the lady, who is most of the time a little smaller, to pass you. And then when you do your 4, 5, 6, go ahead of us. So let's try this. Reverse left side shadow. I'm swinging outside. Now I'm waiting. And now I'm going ahead. Right here. I'm ahead. Now Slawek gets ahead. And now we're doing this running step right here. Okay? And we go. I'm on the outside of a turn. Now Slawek gets on the outside. Now I am on the outside of this turn. So now let's try our reverse left side shadow in a natural turning figure. Slawek gets on the outside of a turn. Now the lady is on the outside. Now gentlemen, it's on the outside of a turn right here. Okay, let's do the same thing other way. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. We have one more little thing to talk about during those shadow positions. It's when we switch from one position to another position, how that lead should happen. Okay, so if we talk about progressive twinkle, that it's moving left and right, and the gentleman has to change the lady from the left shadow to the right shadow, from right shadow to the left shadow.
So I like to always say that until I didn't regain the new connection, I don't want to let go of the previous connection. So meaning, if I'll just flip Marzena from one side to another, I'll just put her into my other hand, so you can see there's a moment when both hands are on her, so now I can let go of the other hand. And again, I'm gonna not just send Marzena towards my hand, but I'm also going to bring my hand closer to Marzena's body. Very common mistake is when a boy holds the other hand in the same place and just waiting that the lady will find herself there, which is very hard for the lady obviously to do it. So I will always use both hands to come closer, and then the new one can actually go in a position what we need to do. So now we can use the shadow switching twinkles when we can actually practice that changes from one to another.
Yes. So let's do that one time a little further away from you guys. So I'm starting right now on the right side shadow. I will take step on 1. On the step 2, I already feel where Slawek met me, and I feel like he wants to come up towards me to change the connection. And now, when he gained both hands, I feel like he is providing new space to create new direction for us. Now, we go 1, by the count 2, he directs me onto his right hand, and now establishing new shape, moving himself, and I follow through. So what's very important, we're not moving exactly at the same time. We're still having someone who's on the outside of this rotation and someone who is on the inside of this rotation. So we need to come back to the first thing that we talk about on this class. It's who is ahead of the movement has to provide distance. And then, who is on the inside of a turn has to increase foot pressure to slow down. So we're combining those things exactly in that one little move.
And of course you can do the same, we can dance the same step in a reverse shadow when I'm right now on the head. So now Marzena is going to flip me from one side to another. Okay,
so let's start from the reverse right side shadow, and we go. And 1, I connect 2 hands. I allow Slawek to go there. I move slightly ahead of him. Then I'm sending 2 hands and then redirecting myself so I can redirect him again and then again. Okay? So I hope you guys could see it, that we can totally reverse this. Not necessarily maybe for the twinkle to make it look a little bit maybe too feminine, but there is plenty of steps that we can play that the gentleman is ahead of the lady in a reverse shadow.
And like I said, the more we both understand what our roles and what our partner's roles are, it's easier for us to understand how to become better leaders or followers, simply because we are much more aware of what the other half of the partnership is doing at the moment.
Okay, so let us just show you guys one version when we can play with all those open right turns and open left turns that we did at the beginning, that we can switch the roles, and hopefully that way you guys can see that it's very beneficial to use it for your students, for your own personal choreography. So now we're going to try to connect all those positions into a little routine format out of this left and right turn with the running steps. We're going to start with the reverse right side shadow. We're doing open left turn. 1, 2, 3. Moving into a right side shadow. 4, 5, 6. Maintaining this in the running step. 1, 2, 3. We're going to go to the left side shadow into open right turn. 1, 2, 3. Going under. 4, 5, 6. To reverse left side shadow. Coming back into a right side shadow so we can connect to the beginning, okay? Let's do the same thing one more time with music. We hope we made those shadow positions a little bit easier for you guys. It will be easier for you guys to dance them at the competition, teach your students. Thank you so much for joining us this year for Mastery Camp Online.
And we will see you all in 2021.
For our 25th anniversary. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Bye.